Welcome to the Feature Anime Podcast. I'm your host, Jack.
And I'm Rick.
And today we are talking about Dragon Ball Super, the movie Brolly.
That is my choice, actually.
Indeed it is. It came out December 2018, producer for Echoes, studios of Toei Animation, and also, I believe, 20th Century Fox is also a part of it as well.
I believe so, yeah.
And the genres are action, adventure, comedy, superpower, martial arts, fantasy, and Shounen. And the movie ran for about an hour and a half, maybe a little bit longer.
Maybe a little bit. I don't think there was an after credits scene, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. Now, are you familiar? I think you are you familiar with the Super franchise?
I am.
I know you and I watched Dragon Ball Z Brolly way back in the day. And this I really enjoyed because they basically retconned everything.
Yeah, it was I feel like it was a pretty good show, or movie rather. It was different from the other Brolly movie. Definitely. It definitely changed it, and I feel for the better it changed it. It also kind of left some questions out there for it as well.
It did. In my opinion, I think so. Basically the story is the old story is Brolly and Kakarot, or Brolly and Goku, were side by side, and Goku essentially cried too much, and it used to piss Brolly off. And Brolly and Kakarot were sent to separate worlds and forgotten about, essentially.
No. The original story was Brolly would be pissed off, but his power was growing too much and he was about to be killed. And that's when Brolly's father would take him and run away.
Oh.
And that's what ended up happening, was that Brolly was saved by his father. Instead, what the story goes for this one is King Vegeta, instead of killing Brolly or trying to kill Brolly, sends him away, sends him to a desolate planet. And he tells Brolly's father this and says, look, I'm not going to kill him. I'm going to send him there because he's just too dangerous and he'll become out of control. He won't be able to know how to control his power, which in effect is kind of true, but not because he wants to be out of control. It's because no one actually properly nurtured him to be in control.
Yes, he is. I don't think they actually mention if he is the legendary Super Saiyan or not. But the thing I really, really liked, the thing that got me excited about this whole thing, is in the Super version of it, instead of going straight yellow, they throw a hint of green in the mix. So that makes me think that maybe green is the true transformation.
Maybe, or just a different one, because they do turn green and then go yellow, but their eyes stay green, which is different. I mean, but also at the same time, even when they're fighting him before he even goes for the transformation, right? Which could mean that they are hitting green. They're just going past it for them, for their own capabilities. And he is so strong, he's just inching his way up to that. And he's green. And once he finally goes above that to the yellow to become a true Super Saiyan, that's when he's going to become insanely more powerful beyond that. Because
that's a really cool way of thinking about it. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, because when they're turning, before they're turning yellow, even from the old Z series, their eyes would be blank like his. And then once they're finished their transformation, they have their eye color, the eye color green. Whereas of Brolly, he's slowly inching his way up to that transformation, exposing more power. And his eyes, when he gets to that green point, it's blank, but he's still continuing to power up.
You have a point there. See, this is kind of why I like, aside from doing the podcast, I enjoy talking to you about anime, specifically because you and I see it so differently sometimes. For instance, this particular thing, in my mind, think of like the transformations instead of a linear path that they go straight up. It's more like you have a fork in the road with multiple forks. You can go right, you can go far right, you can go left, you can go straight, that kind of thing. In my head, let's assume green for this particular scenario. Green is the true transformation. That's a left-hand turn. But on that left-hand turn, you can take a left and then an immediate right to go towards the yellow. And that's how that's in my head how I saw it happening, where red and blue are going right. So the green, if you go all the way left and continue on, that in my head would be the true transformation. And they just took a detour because they didn't quite understand that transformation yet. And they just assumed that yellow was it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And it's definitely a interesting train of thought. I mean, I would honestly after having just watched this, I'm a little kind of caught off guard with it. So I definitely want to do a little bit of research on it, maybe kind of dive into the depths a little bit about it, gain a better understanding about the whole series and the Super Saiyan transformation.
Yeah, because right now they're doing it after, what is it? The Tournament of Power. So the series, which I find extremely exciting, because Resurrection of F was right before before Dragon Ball Super came out, and basically what happened in the movie happened in the series. The series took much longer and took a lot more detail into it, which is why I was really excited for the Brolly, because if they turn that into an arc in and of itself, oh shit, that'd be great.
Right. The interesting thing about this is Brolly, the movie Brolly, doesn't end with him dying.
No. In the original one, yeah, they killed him. They got rid of the threat. In this one, and that's why it's so exciting, because they completely changed the story. But it makes me a little bit suspect, and it makes me unfortunately sad, because you have Whis and you have the God of Destruction looking for the strongest people in the universe, and they somehow skip the ultra powerful Brolly.
Well, the thing is they weren't looking for ultra powerful people in the universe. It was Goku, and they only brought in one person that they knew would be strong. And maybe Whis didn't want to bring him in for the Power of Tournament, because they knew that if he was pushed to that extreme, he would try and kill everyone, and then the universe would be destroyed anyways, because he loses control.
That's a fair point. That is a good. You could be a lawyer for them. This is a great reason why they didn't do it.
Because they say during the Tournament of Power during the series that you can't kill anyone, and the people that aren't flying or anything like that, they're out. So you can't fly, and you can't kill them, at least willingly, right?
Yeah.
And everyone that's out on the edges watching it, they're still there, but they're out of the tournament. And if Brolly was there, he would fly, he wouldn't care, and they didn't have enough time to be able to train him or bring his senses down.
See, I thought the reason they couldn't fly is that ability was taken away.
No, they could fly, I thought. I'd have to rewatch it.
Because the people with wings could still fly, but the people without could not. At least, I'd be more than happy to rewatch it and go over a podcast show with you on that, because I love Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, Dragon Ball GT, not so much, but we don't talk about that stepchild.
True. That being said, the movie was actually really well done on the most part.
Yeah. I thought now there was a few areas in which they decided to use CG. I honestly thought it was spectacular. The way that they went in on it, the way that they cutscened to, just beautiful, almost breathtaking if they weren't so destructive.
True, which honestly, I have to say I wasn't a fan of the switch to CG. I mean, like, I get why they did it. It just, I wish they maintained the animation throughout the show and the cleanliness of it, but they really didn't. And there were a couple of spots where it was comical in how bad both Goku and Vegeta were drawn. It was just so badly drawn for a scene. And it's just like, why? Why? Did someone just fall asleep on the job and let that scene go through?
Well, yeah. Now, just curious. I want to see if we're talking about the same scene. Which scene are you talking about?
Where Vegeta and Goku are talking in front of Piccolo.
Okay, so right before the transformation.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought that was a little bit off, but
it was funny. It was funny, but
yeah, I don't think I've ever seen Vegeta actually blush prior to that.
Yeah, he's done it a couple of times in the Z series, and I think even in the Super. But how it was drawn for that scene was just so bad. It was just so bad. It's just like they gave up like right there, and then they instantly redeemed themselves for it. But still,
yeah,
it was bad.
I agree. My thought was when they were training back and forth in front of Beerus, and before they got called out, before they were like, "Oh crap, Frieza's here," or "Oh no, somebody stole the Dragon Balls." My thought was they made the height difference between the two too drastic, like between Goku and Vegeta, because I don't remember Vegeta being like, nipple height to Goku, and for the rest of the show he wasn't. But for like the one scene when they were talking to him right when all that was going down, I'm like, that somebody didn't do scaling appropriately.
Right.
But other than that and the Piccolo fusion scene, it was beautiful.
Yeah, it was. The animation other than that was clean. I wasn't a fan of the CG though. Like, I mean, I get why they did it. I mean, it's definitely reminiscent of the games too at that point, but it, for me, just didn't jive well.
Well, the only good news on that is it was only a few. I would say it was only a few seconds that the CG was on the screen. But as far as the story goes, I thought it was a bit overplayed. It was what I expected, especially out of this. But I'm not going to say I timed it because I didn't. But I did look at the clock once or twice, and it was for the hour and 35 minutes roughly of runtime. We were looking at about an hour of fighting.
Yeah. And it's not all one fight. It is several different fights, but that's the thing about this series though. A majority of this series isn't about such a deep plot. It's fighting while developing a plot at the same time. And that's the thing about Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. And there's fighting. There's always going to be fighting. There's fighting in every episode. That's what makes it a shonen. It's very Dragon Ball. It's very Dragon Ball. So there's going to be a lot of fighting and a lot of screaming. A lot of screaming.
God. Yeah.
Which, I love those memes. Kid on 8-hour flight screams almost the entire time. Dragon Ball Z voice actors, not half bad, kid. Not half bad. You got some talent.
You got a future here. Oh man. No, I enjoyed it so much. It was more nostalgic than anything else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I felt that it kind of opened up. I'm not going to say it opened dialogue, but it opened up a part of the Saiyan history that I was not aware of. Like, I didn't realize that Frieza was such a cold-hearted bastard from the get-go. I thought, yeah, he was kind of a jerk, but I didn't think he was kill his own troops jerk.
Really?
Yeah, because I originally thought the Saiyans were planning a revolt, and that's why he did it. I had no idea it was a preemptive strike.
Yeah, no, it was always played that he's been a heartless bastard, like from day one. At least that's how I interpreted it.
I just never thought that he was the kind. Like, I didn't realize that when he destroyed Planet Vegeta, it was like unprovoked. It was just him. I got tired of these people. Is it capable? Absolutely. That's why it's believable. But I didn't think it was that. I didn't think that's why. I thought that the Saiyans were already had the inkling of revolt.
No, he just wanted to squash them. And I think from the Z series, he even says he wants to squash them before they develop or get the idea of being able to revolt. I like that they helped clarify his cold-heartedness.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And he's one of the characters that I love to hate. I love the fact he's there. And I love the fact that he's such a decent villain. And the voice actor they had for him. Dear Lord, did you watch the sub or the dub?
Sub.
Okay. I watched both. And the voice actor for the sub, spot on. The voice actor's been a villain for like 3 different anime that I've seen. And it's just, you couldn't wish for a better one.
Yeah.
That said, I do prefer the dubbed voice of Goku and Vegeta. This is one of the few times I'm going to say that the English dub did it better.
Yeah.
I think that while iconic, the lady that does Goku's voice in the Japanese version is an artist.
Yes. Just
flat out, you can't do that for this long and for that kind of, I'm not going to say clout, but that kind of the prestiged show, and not just not refine this to an absolute art.
Well, yeah, I'd agree. I mean, like, you have to keep in mind, the voice actress, Masako Nozawa, she doesn't just do the voice of Goku. She does the voice of Gogeta. She does the voice of Goten and Bardock as well. Like, she does a lot of different voices and does a lot of different screaming.
I liked how you added that last part. A lot of voices and a lot of screaming.
Well, it's true. I mean, you can't exactly do that without the other. And for Frieza, the voice actor, Ryusei Nakoa, he definitely, or not Nakoa, but Nakao, he definitely has the voice spot on for the subs. And he does a voice for one of the characters in Bleach as well.
Yep. The weird captain of the science division.
Yes.
Yep. I remember that.
So I feel like the voice was spot on for both of them. And every voice actor is very talented. The one thing though, I have to agree, Goku and Vegeta English voices, I feel like they sound better.
They fit better.
Yes.
But yeah. I loved every second of this show. Even the faulty animation of my example and your example, I don't think I would change any part of it.
I would clean up the animation of my part a little bit, but when you have some funky fingers happening right there when you're just appearing after an instant transmission, I don't know. It looks like they literally gave up and decided to have it be a little comedic.
Yeah, that was absolutely comedic because of the failed transformations. Although that said, think about this. They had to wait an hour. Yeah. I don't know how strong they're making Frieza, but when he turned into Frieza Gold, to stand against Brolly for a straight hour, that's impressive.
Well, it's not even that he was standing against him. He was getting the tar beat out of him for an hour.
But he was still strong.
Right.
But I still don't understand how the power scaling always kind of confused me, because you went from Vegeta normal to Vegeta Super Saiyan to Vegeta God, which was unique because I don't ever remember him reaching regular God mode.
Well, if you could reach Super God, you obviously can reach regular God.
Well, prior to this movie, it was canon that he skipped that stage. He skipped the God mode and went straight to Super Saiyan God.
Right, but you would be kind of discrediting him if he didn't, from being able to go beyond that, be able to go at least the level below that.
Well, you'd think that, but just like in canon, he reached in GT, he reached 4, but he never reached 3.
There's a lot of debate on GT because it's not by the same writer.
Fair. But along those same terms, prior to this movie, it was canon that he skipped red altogether and he went straight to blue. So, because remember, red needed 5 other people to pour their energy into Goku to achieve the red. That would have also had to happen.
No, not necessarily. I mean, if you're sitting there and you're training and you're going through this training and you're being trained by the God of Destruction, you would assume since you're able to reach that state of power, you're able to reach the level just below that.
This is where you and I are going to have to disagree because from what my understanding was, canon said he didn't have it prior to this. That's the only argument I have, that canon said he didn't have it. This obviously shows he does now because this is also part of canon. But it was also canon. The only way to achieve red wasn't by powering up, it was by going through that ritual. And it was specifically stated that Vegeta was too proud to accept the help from other people in order to achieve the power. He would rather do it on his own.
And who's to say he didn't achieve it on his own? Well, that is a way for you to get there, or the preferred way to get there. They never stated that is the only way to get there. They did that at that point in time for him to be able to get there because that's what the God of Destruction, Brius, wanted.
As of that point in time, it was the only way that was achievable.
Right.
That said, now obviously it looks like there might be a different avenue that we have not been exposed to as of yet. So, as I said, you and I are going to have to disagree on this one particular point, which honestly I'm not too mad about because I'd like to be right. I really would. I'd like to be right, but I'd also like to know the truth. So if I'm wrong, it is what it is.
We'll just have to ask people smarter than us for for the answers, or we'll have to do some research, and we'll talk about it in Discord a little bit at that point.
Maybe smarter or more dedicated to the show.
Those who are dedicated to the cause, we reach out to you, inform us of who is right, aka me. Just throw this out there.
No pandering. This is pandering. That's not allowed.
Look. Who are you going to believe? Someone who's always wrong, Rick, or me? You know, just throw that out there.
Oh, jeez. Again, I would love to be proven wrong because knowledge, I always accept new knowledge, but
that's a lie.
I encourage new knowledge. I don't always accept it.
There you go. That's better.
Oh, man.
No, it's honestly, I would love to know the answer to that. I'll have to do some research on this, and we could definitely, we'll talk about it a little bit in Discord. And it is something that we can further debate or discuss, just like any of the other shows that we talk about. Always welcome discussion on it. We are always welcome to hear varying points of views and thoughts on them, and to let us know what you think about it. That is something that we actually thoroughly enjoy. And if you want to get into a friendly debate or friendly discussion about a show, please let us know. Reach out to us. We are all about that.
We try not to bite too much.
That is true. I mean, like when we do, we don't bite hard. But
True.
All right. Honestly, I think this is a great spot to leave a rating, sir. So on a scale of up to 10, how would you rate this?
I'm very, very biased when it comes to this because it's honestly one of the first I've actually purchased myself. You've got what, the entire series?
I've got all kinds of different ones out there. So,
well, this is the only one that I actually own. So
okay.
I special place in my heart for this one. I'm I'm gonna give it a 9.
Okay.
I was teetering between 8 and 9, and the fact that I give it a 9, it's the only one I own. So yeah, if I'm willing to purchase it, and I'm willing to force it upon you, I must. It's not an 8. It's got to be a 9 for me. What about you?
For me, I'm gonna go with an 8.
Okay.
I'm going with an 8 because it's a completely different story. I enjoyed that. Could have tamed down the screaming, but then again, if they did, it wouldn't be a Dragon Ball anything.
True.
So, I mean, like, it stays true to the series. It does have its comedic moments. It is in its core a Dragon Ball franchise, which I love. They never really deviate from that unless you go with the GT, in which case it was good, but it's not. I feel like it's not canon because it wasn't done by the original gentleman.
This one was.
It was like Super.
Yeah.
This was done by the original, which is
What was it? Toriyama?
Akira Toriyama. Yeah.
Perfect. I was almost right. I was halfway there.
So great show, great movie. Definitely worth the watch, especially if you are a fan of the series. Definitely changes your perspective on how you reach Super Saiyan and kind of gives you a little different thought process for it.
Now, the only thing I would say about this, in closing at least, is that you would have to have seen most of, if not all of, Dragon Ball Super. Otherwise, some of these references wouldn't make sense, and you wouldn't really understand who Whis or Beerus are.
Right. Or why Frieza is alive.
Yeah. Or why he's alive and why he no longer wants immortality.
Right. Instead, he wants to be taller.
By 5 centimeters. Otherwise, people would think it's a bit weird.
And he's going to do it a little bit again next year and the year after that, the year after that. That's the one comedic thing I enjoyed about this, which is why I'm giving it a 8, is that he's not out there to be immortal because he had a taste of immortality when he died and he absolutely hated it. But instead, he wants to be taller because he's tired of people calling him Pipsqueak behind his back.
Granted, if those that have called him Pipsqueak behind his back are dead and suffering their own kind of hell.
Oh, yeah. The joys of everything that go along with this. All right.
Jeez.
So next week is my choice.
Indeed. What would you like me to suffer through, sir?
We're going to watch Grancrest Senkai, or rather Record of Grancrest War. It's an action drama fantasy romance, and it came out in January 2018. It's 24 episodes long.
I've actually seen this. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Well, good. I expect a high rating from you then, sir, since you thoroughly enjoyed this.
Yeah, like a 3, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Feel free to reach out to us. Talk to us in our Discord. A link for that is going to be in the show notes and on the description in YouTube. Feel free to reach out to us on any of the social media platforms as well. All that information, all the contact information will be in the show notes and the description, or you can leave a comment on YouTube and we'll be happy to respond to you. Until next time, I'm Jack.
And I'm Rick, and we'll see you later.